Welcome to the social canvas with me, Carol, today. I'm going to be showing you how to paint this cute little cactus. Or yes, cactus, that's right, not cacti. Cacti is plural, right? I've got a series of small paintings coming up and I hope you can enjoy some of them. And you know what, these kind of things are really cute to put in little frames to put on your wall in your, whether it's your bathroom, your kitchen. You know, you don't have to have an expensive frame for it to look good. So, it should be easy to follow. So I'm going to run through some things that I'm going to use today. And, please follow along if you want to. I've got some water because I'm using acrylic paints. I'm using some canvas paper here. This is actually quite a big piece of paper, but I'm going to show you how to do it on a small piece. And the colours I'm using today are green and yellow for the different tones in here and some white. I'm going to use some red and yellow and a bit of white to get this sandy colour. But you can paint them whatever colour you want if you want to follow along. A little bit of black for my little bit of prickly bits, and of course some pink, etc., and some black for just, again, with the background you can paint it whatever colour you like. I am going to choose a very, very pale kind of pinkish background today. So I'm going to use my bigger brush to do that with, which is a flat at number 8. I'm going to wet my brush. Always need a little bit of blotting paper, so kitchen towel is good. And I'm going to grab some white. First of all, a little bit of pink. I've got some magenta pink here, but if you're using red instead, you can add just a touch of red in there to get sort of a... I'm really just going to do a very pale background because I don't have much in the way of colour on that one. So obviously you always need more white. I'm always telling people that, but it's true, you do. You need a lot more white. So I'm just going to put a very loose pink background, very pale. Any colour is good. I did use a tiny bit of grey in this and you may not be able to see it that much, but just want to give it some colour. I don't want to leave it completely blank, but you know what, you can do if you want. No harm in that. So yeah, if you've joined me today for the first time, I'm doing several of these short videos coming up soon. As and when I shall, if you subscribe to the channel, you will get notification of when I'm going to do them and when I'm going to put them up. But also if you go to the Facebook page at the Social Canvas UK, you will also see notifications on there of when I'm going to put some up. But of course I do my weekly paint and sip, as I call it, usually on a Tuesday, sometimes on a Sunday. If you want to do a longer painting and a bit more in-depth painting, I do landscapes, I do flowers, I do sometimes some fun animals like Highland cows, etc. So that's going to fall off, but I'm not too bothered because it's just as my reference and your reference. So we've got a very pale pink going on. As I said, I'm just loosely putting that on there and pushing it in. And that's it with the large brush, and I always like to make sure it's in the water afterwards. Okay, so the next bit is, obviously we want it for it to dry. I'm going to take a small brush, just a small round brush. Any brush will do. Small detailed brush is good though. And I'm going to just detail out a line just where I want my pot to go. Here I'm just getting a very slight grey tone because I'm just going to mark out, I don't want to make it too dark, where it's going. So first of all, best thing to do, this dries very quick, so is I'm going to round out my pot. First of all, just the edge like so, and these sides, and then I'm going to bring that round like that. I mean, you can draw this in as well. You don't have to use paint. Some people find it easier to draw it, of course. And your pot can be whatever size you like, if you want to follow along. You're going to round that out the bottom a little bit like that. And then I'm just going to make a line across each side like that to show where my table or whatever it is on. And then after that I'm just going to basically again draw in my cactus, or paint in my cactus shape first of all. And I'm going to go with the big area first. I'm just going to make that a round shape like so. Doesn't matter if you do it to scale or not. And then we're going to have little bits coming off. Again, you can make these any shape you want. I think it's fun to make them different shapes anyway. I'm going to have one large one coming down like that. And on this side, another small kind of balloon shaped one. And then a little bit coming off of there. And a little bit balancing on the top of that one. So that's my shape done. Pretty easy, right? Next step. I want a decent sized brush to get into the small ones. Of course, you could use your small brush. I'm going to use my small angled brush like that. Dip it in. I'm going to grab some. This is where I'm going to use different tones. So I'm going to grab some yellow and red, yellow and green, colorblind, and some white. I don't want to make it too bright. This is kind of a subtle tone, so subtle the better. And I'm going to use different tones, as I said, in this. So you see I'm using, we've got kind of a light greeny yellow, slightly warmer tone, and then the dark green. So I'm going to try and work with those three colours. And I'm going over my grey line because I don't really want to see that. At any point you can pick up a different colour. So I've just grabbed some white in with my colour just to give, as you know, cactus kind of have lines or ridges going down them. To soften up any of the areas, just add some white at any point. And again, even if you've got the pencil marks, I penciled this in, you're still going to see them unless you paint over them. So I'm going to just bring that colour down there. Doesn't have to be all straight lines. You can vary angles there. I've got some darker green going in there, but I'm going to do that on top just because I don't want it to muddy my brush at this point. If you find it hard with a bigger brush, just go to your small brush and try it that way. I love a little cactus. Cacti. Got a few sitting behind me there, if you can see. Not the same shapes, but they're all in the same family, and at least. And different tones in that one as well. Underside I'm just going to do a little bit darker. Again, I'm not making it just a straight line on each one, I'm just going to vary my tones on that one. And it is hard for me to get to these small ones with this brush, so I may have to just switch to the other one in a minute. I'm just going to do a little bit just there and on this side. And down to the big one. Make it darker on the top and the sides. I do like little pictures, little paintings. And you know, the ones that I suggest actually is from IKEA, the little frames. They do some really great value little black and white frames, or even white frames that you can put these in. And they all look pretty good like that, so I do recommend those. You don't need an expensive frame at all to make anything look good on the wall. Grab a bit more of a yellowish green now. And there, I'm going to put some lines in after that just to see what that looks like. I'm going to blend some of those colours in a little bit at the top, as I said, because I want them a little bit different. Okay, right, this is where I'm just going to go around the outside where I've got my grey, just to get rid of that a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to switch to my smaller one now to be able to get in the little nooks and crannies. So it's got a smaller brush again, which is the one I use for the grey. Just make sure you got it clean. And again, start detailing that colour out like so. And up here. Like that. And I'm going to start adding some accents. I'm going to go straight for the darker green here. This is just a medium green, but you know, if you want it slightly darker, you can add a little bit of black to it. That just makes it a darker green like that. All sorts of different things you can do. Right, so from here I'm going to just make a little darker accent on the top where the shade is, like that. And then I'm also going to make a little line, a ridge line, kind of a little squiggly one coming down to the middle there, and then also a little one down there like that. I might even frame the outside a little bit with that green. And the same thing here, just a little bit of a squiggle. And the same thing on here. I'm going to do a little squiggly line coming on the outside, darker at the bottom, just where again the shade is falling, like so. Same thing on this one. I'm just going to go around the edge on those ones a little bit, just to get rid of any grey that I left. Yeah. If you want to put any different shades in yourself, you can. I'm just going to make that slightly darker on the top, slightly dark coming in there, maybe a bit there as well. Otherwise, simples, as they say. Nothing too drastic. Right, I want that to dry a little bit before I add any other accents. So I'm going to do the pot next. I kind of like the pink background, it looks good. Yeah, so let's do the pot. So okay, so I'm going to make this orange color. So I'm going to grab some, I'm going to go to my angle brush again. Give it a wash off and wipe it on my thing. So I'm going to grab that, grab some yellow. It's going to go quite a bright orange, as you can see. Quite a good amount of white will tone it down quite a bit. Again, this is up to you how bright you want your pot. Mine might be a little bit bright, but I can tone it, put some different tones on top when I'm ready. So I'm going to just bring a little bit of that coming in from the sides like this. Going right up to my edge again, trying to cover my tracks there. And then I'm going to just grab a little bit more red to tone that down a little bit because it's a little bit too yellowish. And I'm going to bring in that darker tone again from my edge, like so. You can leave some little white patches if you want to, you can go over them as well with some white. Okay, again, it's always hard to get round the corner, so I'm going back to my small brush. And I'm going to grab that orange again. As you can see, the rim goes right round. So if you just bring it round, so it's meeting this edge like that. Bring it right in. Like so. I'm going to just grab some white and just bring in a few kind of like accents. It's not going to be exactly the same as this. I'm just going to bring in some where the light's shining on it a little bit maybe. But you could decorate yours in any style you wish. And I'm just going to put a little bit of that white around the rim a little bit on the top. Might be good to wait for it to dry because then it will show up a little bit better. And wipe that off again. I might just put some little tiny ridges on my pot. So I've highlighted this side a little bit with a bit more of a darker tone. So I'm just going to go over it a little bit like that, because this is the darker side. As you can see, I've kind of got a shadow going on there. And if you grab the darker black, grey, whatever colour you want to go just in this little bit here. You can also substitute black with another colour if you want to do brown or something, dark brown. Right. Put some little lines around my pot too. There we go. Okay, so this is dry now, but because I've got dark on my brush, I'm going to just fill in a little bit of this. I'm going to go to my larger brush again, switch between the two today, or the three. I'm going to do a very light greenish tone, which I should have some still on my plate here, so on my palette. Very pale. I like that colour green, so I'm just going to bring that out. I'm just going to do some rough painting in. It's good to bring out the tone from the green that you've got up there in some way and just add it down below because it ties it in nicely. I said, I'm just loosely putting this down here. I'm not going to paint it all over. Just going to leave that. If you want to paint this in, you can, or leave it white, or paint it in white. And then I'm going to add just a darker edge there by getting some black and some of that green. Again, it's up to you how dark you go. I'm going to go reasonably dark. I'll add a small amount of white in there because the white helps it to do it a little bit better. And I'm just going to add that in there. You can pick up small canvases to do this on. I do have some 8 by 10 small canvases if anybody's interested in grabbing some from me. Just go onto the website and you will see, well actually you won't see the small ones, but I do have some. Email me, info@thesocialcanvas.co.uk. I'll give you a good price. Okay, so I'm just going to trail this off because this is, obviously I've not got it on a canvas, so I'm just doing that loosely. A little bit more white, as always required. So I'm going to just want to come up to my edge here a little bit, just to blend that in a little bit. So you can see that's where it's coming to. If you were in a frame, it would be coming to there. So, okay. So washing that off again. I'm going to use my very small, tiny brush, which is so small you can hardly see it. I'm going to dip that in the water. And I'm going to detail out some little pink flowers. Now, you will need some white and you will need some red or some pink. Again, up to you how pink you go. I'm going to just make the pink first and decide whether I want this pink. I think I'm going to go for a slightly darker pink. So I'm just mixing that dark pink. If I don't like it, I can always tone it down a bit when I get it on there. Okay, so I'm going to stick one of my flowers. It's really a rough sort of petal edge. So don't worry if it's not symmetrically perfect, because it doesn't have to be. So this is definitely a pinker tone than that, but what I'm going to do for this to show up a bit more is grab some of my darker pink and just put some of that in there as well, so it shows up a little bit more. Again, randomly, you can do some petals dark pink, you can see leave some kind of pale. You can add some white back in there as accents like that, so that it shows up well. See, this is because I used the red and white over the pink, but either will do. I mean, this kind of picks up the colour nicely from there. So, you know, again, if you wanted to use the red, I'm going to show you both actually. So I'll pick that one up now because that's a different colour again. Well, you can do alternate colours. Again, I'm just going to see how that's picked up a different colour again, or you can just do a two-tone, orange and a pink. I think that kind of works as well. And as many of these as you like, but obviously don't go overboard. Don't need to. Again, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of red on that one, just to pick it up a little bit. Add as many tones in as you want. Cactus can have different colours, so I'm just like playing with my colours now and adding a bit of red, a bit of orangey tone, a bit of salmon, a bit of pink. Yeah, that's kind of pretty. I've got 3. I always like to go in odd numbers, but you know what? I think 3 is probably enough, so I'm going to leave it at that. Again, if you want to tie in any colours, you can add a little bit of pink, for instance. Just a little subtle bit inside your pot because it kind of ties in the colours. And then the final bit is just doing some little tiny, again you're going to need your tiny brush, or a tiny brush. Make sure it's got some water mixed in with your black, so it's going to be quite wet. I'll roll mine, and all I'm going to do now is some little tiny, I guess, star-like things. Little kind of stars. As many as you want, but I'm not going to overdo it. So I'm coming off the side, if you like that one. These ones are a little bit bigger than those ones, but I think it works just as well. I might do some tiny ones on here. Lovely. And I'm going to put my name on the corner. And I'm going to use I think I'm going to see if the pink works for me. I'm going to put my initials in there. You can hide your initials any way you want, but you know, very subtle initials in my corner with the pink. So that's my quick short cactus tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you join me again at some point. As I said, these will be coming up on the channel every now and again, and I hope to see you soon. Au revoir, goodbye.